fam, to HHN365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Duff, and as always, I'm here with my co-hosts, Jess and Jonathan. What's up, guys?
Oh my god.
Hello.
It's like HHN Christmas up in here,
I
y'all.
know. Oh,
Holy
it's
crap.
and it came early too. Like when you visit like relatives out of town, and you have like a December 12th Christmas.
Ooh, and they give you like the good presents. That's
Yeah,
kind of what we got. They're like your rich relatives.
exactly. Mike is out of town. He's on vacation. So you'll hear his takes when he's back next week, hopefully. But for now, we're gonna take over the mantle. But first, follow us on social media at Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at HHN365. We are doing weekly YouTube, not weekly. They have been weekly, but we're doing YouTube live streams for like any kind of news like this, so they're much more consistent. So definitely go follow us there now. Our TikTok at HHN365pod. We have a Discord where we're discussing all these announcements and the rumors we still have to go. That link is in the description. Check out our merch at HHN365.com, including the now just standard print black base Oddfellow shirt. And then leave us a voicemail if you want us to play it here on the show at 407 906 4134. And on today's show, we're of course discussing all 6 original houses for Orlando. All 6 already. It's May.
It's
It's kind of
crazy.
wild.
Yeah. I
Very
can't believe
wild.
it.
Before we get into that, let's go over a few 365 specific things. I already covered a few of them, but that YouTube Live we just discussed that we're doing more often now. We of course did one to wrap up the they called it like Spooky Week. Is that what they said? I
I
saw a
think
tweet
so,
about it. They
yeah.
called it Spooky Week, where they dropped all the originals. We of course had a video to wrap that up. If you didn't catch it live, it is just now on YouTube. Again at HHN365. Go check that out. It's there for your viewing pleasure. Of course, we had Discord lives throughout the week as well. Jonathan and Alex held that down, and I think you got 4 of the days.
Yeah, we got 4 in, which is absolutely wild. We had some like that happened consecutively. I think we had at least 2 that like happened consecutively. It was that was a crazy week for Discord lives.
Hmm. Hey, people love it. So if you want to join that as well, again, join our Discord. And then we also were at, well, I wasn't at, but Mike and Jess were at Fear and Beers Trivia, where they brought all of, or most of, the HHN podcasters together for a great night of trivia and fun with the community.
Yeah, it was great. We actually we got to go first because we were doing HHN 29. That was our theme, but actually some of our friends won, which was kind of funny. But it was overall a really good night. We actually packed that entire kind of bar area, so really fun. Thank you, Fear and Beer, again. Had a
De-
great time.
Definitely. And then just one more time, we do have that new Oddfellow shirt if you want to go check that out at hhn365.com. All right, let's move on to the really fun stuff. Again, 6 original house announcements. We're going to first talk about the 5 that we got in a consecutive week because we talked about Solar Cinema 2 already on our last episode. So let's start waking up Monday morning. It hits 10:33 a.m. Um, hey, surprise, Goblins Feast coming to HHN Orlando. Real quick before we discuss it, here is the description from HHN. Welcome to the Goblins Feast Tavern and visit the Goblin Village where a lavish feast is being prepared for goblins, orcs, hobgoblins, and witches, and you're the main course. How we feeling about Goblins Feast?
I mean, I'm excited. I'm really excited for this one. I mean, first of all, this already got a boost up in hype just because it was like a surprise Monday announcement. Like, that just kind of helps, because we got Slaughter the Friday before. We're like, oh, what's going to happen with these originals? How are they going to drop them if they're not going to do them all in one go since they already did Slaughter individually? And then Monday morning, we're just like, hey, surprise, here's a house. And that helps the hype, right? But, yeah, I just think this concept is super fun. It feels very Halloweeny, with goblins and witches and hobgoblins. It seems sort of campy, which I like, with the tavern literally being called Goblins Feast Tavern. I mean, that's stupid, that's silly, but that's kind of what I like in a Halloween Horror Nights house. So I'm kind of all for this. It's very high on my hype currently, and I'm just excited for this one.
I was hoping yeah, Jess would hop in.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was again gonna let the positives go first. So,
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Just because I kicked it off, I was like, I will.
oh no, you're
I'll
good.
let you guys go.
I'm sorry. I was being polite, but I guess that backfired. So,
Don't be polite to me. Are you kidding me?
I know. I who am I? I forgot. I am not as excited for this unless they go the full campy route, which obviously they can. But right now, I don't really know much from the what one sentence we got, two maybe. But I don't know. Our YouTube live did educate us that hobgoblins are taller and mischievous, where goblins are shorter. And I guess they're down to business. They're not they're not really fucking around. They're not here to make friends. So I think that's kind of interesting, and I think that the juxtaposition, excuse me, in like the sets could be really fun. If we have like some, short, buildings next to some kind of taller buildings and stuff like that. But I don't know. I am not really a fantasy person. I was like a Harry Potter kid growing up, but like as we've gotten older and J.K. Rowling of it all, kind of fallen out of that kind of whole realm really. So this is really not for me unless it does kind of go that campy route. Then I'm going to be fully invested. So I kind of hope this is a sleeper, but right now it's kind of at the bottom of my hype list for the
Oh,
originals. I
wow.
know, hot take. I'm sorry, but look at the rest of them. Well, except one. We'll get to that one later. But yeah, this one's just kind of meh.
And I kind of think I'm like right in the middle of you guys, where I have excitement. I also don't know what to expect from that fantasy aspect because, like Jess, I'm not huge on that as a genre in general. Um, so it depends, like, kind of what route they take. Because it's worked for me in houses. It worked in one last year with Dueling Dragons. Um, so I don't have concerns, but I don't know if it's going to be something that connects with me fully. It seems like something that, at the very least, should just be like one of those like default, like this is a solid house. Um, just from the content that we are seeing in these couple sentences and what kind of we're imagining. I think the logo also looks great. It gives very like Wicked Growth vibes. I like the colors. I like the design. I don't like the name. Goblins Feast is a little, I don't know, boring.
Do you like
Could
any of the
Yeah.
house names?
um
Because let's be real, they're all boring.
I like one, which we'll get to later. Uh,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
I kind of like two. I think I like two. Anyways, um, again, Goblin's Feast Tavern. Also, like I know, Jonathan, you said you kind of like how corny that is. I don't know. That's a little too on the nose. A little. I don't know.
That's
So
fair. I get
it,
that.
for hype level, I can see the heights it could reach, but I'm bringing that down. I'm going to have lower expectations, so it's going to be somewhere kind of in the middle of the originals, maybe like four or so. We'll say.
Okay.
That makes sense. I am interested. I know we brought it up on the live about like what smells this house
Oh,
could have because
not good
I
ones.
wonder if this is the smelly house, the one that has like the sort of disgusting smells that make or break it for some people going through.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to smell like food at some points, right? It has to.
It has
Mm.
to,
And
yeah.
for some reason, dead bodies are fine. Poop is fine. Anything like that is fine. You smell what's supposed to be food, and suddenly it's like, oh, gross.
Yeah.
Fake turkey.
Oh,
Oof.
that was a nasty. Oh my god.
Poor
Yeah.
Mike.
Well, sorry, Mike. You're getting it again, pal.
I
All right, who wants to kick us off with what we got for Tuesday morning?
mean,
Uh,
I can't. Oh,
yeah, go
you mean
for it.
Jonathan? Okay, sure.
I don't. Yeah, go for it.
So on Tuesday we got Major Sweets Candy Factory. So obviously we've seen this before. So the little blurb we got was you've been invited to chaperone a field trip to a candy factory, but this sweet tour is about to turn sour when free samples transform the kids into candy-coated killers wielding sharpened candies. Oh my god, that's a tongue twister.
It is.
So what do we think? We're going back to sweets.
I think it's something that lines up pretty well to make a good sequel story. Well, I'm sorry, prequel story, which has been
Mm-hmm.
confirmed.
Mhm.
Why was it Ramon? that confirmed that,
It was Ramon,
where he
yeah.
Yeah.
said basically before the parade, this is where that's going to take place. So it has been confirmed this will be a prequel to the Zone. I think there's a lot of lore you can delve into with Major Sweets and Mistreats and the candy, and um, I'm kind of excited to see how that goes down. I like the factory setting. I think that's a lot of fun. Um, and this is just going to be one of those like it's going to be a bit campy. It's going to be horror comedy. It's going to be colorful, just like a fun, but also I expect some decent gore. To be honest, in this, I think that's how
Mm.
they're going to really balance it out, and they typically like to in horror comedies like this. So I expect some kind of gruesome things happening um, to the victims of these crazy children.
It's funny that you speak of gore because, like, when you even think back about the zone that we had in 31, there were some nasty things spread
Hmm.
around there, like the sort of lollipop, like heads on sticks,
Mm-hmm.
that were at that booth of like that was like incredibly nasty. Like that zone had some gore in it.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I absolutely imagine that this house would carry over and have the same type of campy yet gory feel. And I'm really excited about this. If you've joined our Discord server, you know how much we've been talking about Major Sweets lately, and that's gotten me more hyped. Almost, it's made me remember how much I love that zone, how much it resonated with me, the music, the vibe, the Halloweenness of it all. And to see that potentially being put into a house, all those vibes put in there, it really excites me. I think the characters in the story were great, and I'm happy to see them expand in this way. And overall, I feel like most people have been asking for like a sort of Willy Wonka gone wrong type house for a long time, and by making the setting a factory, I feel like this might give us that. We'll have a lot of sort of little wink, wink, nudge, nudge at sort of Willy Wonka esque things going wrong in this factory, but on purpose. Like if they go that route and they keep the humor, keep the goriness, and hopefully have some of that awesome '50s music that they had in the zone. I think I'll be all for this. So I'm very excited for this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I said it on our live, but I feel like I kind of hope that they take place almost at the same time. I know that this is the prequel, but I hope it's like maybe like a day before the zone. So
Hmm.
it's the kids and like we're obviously it says we're the chaperones on this field trip and we see the characters in the factory turning into the characters that we then saw in the zones and seeing like the before the aftermath that we then saw in the zone, 2 years ago. So I think that that could be really fun. I like that they put us in the house, kind of giving us a role in it, which it doesn't really matter, but that's just kind of a fun aspect that we don't always get in these houses. So I think we might get some fun triggers where the kids are like calling us chaperone or like, hey, help me or whatever. It kind of puts us in the setting and we're not just walking through it. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I think that's really exciting. And I think that if anything was gonna get a zone to a house treatment from the last couple of years, this is like the top of the list. So it makes sense to me.
To add on to what you said, I think it's always a great additional aspect when there's a reason you are there rather than just you are now in this environment.
Hmm.
Like here's why you are here and part of this story. Enjoy. Going back to the name, though, this is another one that I don't love the name. It's literally just character, location, done. I guess that's kind of in the vein of like Willy Wonka,
It definitely is.
like Charlie and Chocolate Factory, name, location, whatever. Um, but I don't know. I feel like it could have been something a little more clever. I've heard a lot of people say just like something like Sweet's Factory could have worked,
Mm,
and that would go along with like Sweet Revenge. And it's a little more playful. It's like it tells you what it is, but it's not like literally just saying this is what this is. You know?
yeah.
Yeah, it feels like they had these feels like ideas on a board almost, and the team's like, all right, we got to create some houses. What do we do? Hey, how about a Major Suites? but it's in a candy factory, and it's like great, and they just slap it on the board, and they prepare to flesh it out later, and make the house. But that's kind of what a lot of these titles kind of sound like. Not everything,
Hmm.
but it's just like, hey,
Hmm.
this is our base idea, and then later we'll expand upon it, make it fleshed out in terms of like the name itself. And it feels like most, not all, but most of these are kind of just like you said, the base idea, and
Hmm.
that's kind of it.
That's what we talked about on the YouTube live the other day, was that it feels like this was the big idea that never got, the name never got fleshed out. The house got fleshed out, but like 100% what you guys are saying, the names are kind of put on the back burner, and the logos too. They're kind of basic. They're kind of like, they're almost giving AI generated. Like they're
Hmm.
very simple. So
Mhm.
I'm not like knocking any of the artists who do them, but like I agree with you guys. They're not really giving us kind of what we're used to. But also, I don't know if any originals really have done that in the last couple years.
The name or the art?
I'm talking more the art right now. The
Okay.
names are terrible. I won't lie. The name, all six of these names, I really think are just kind of
Um,
meh.
I think there's at least like two every year where I'm like, damn, that's good key art. But like
Yeah,
they definitely don't all stand out.
but these, I don't know if I can really say one of them is really good from these six.
I actually do like Major Suites. I like that key art. I don't think it's phenomenal, but I think it's for the name and what they had. It's good. I like the colors that they went with. I like
Mm,
the fonts that they, especially for Candy Factory, that they went with, because Major Suites we've kind of seen that before. And I like that little peek at the factory as well. It feels very focused on the Major Suites. The background doesn't take away from it, but it's still not just an
mm.
empty background. I think it looks pretty good.
I see what you're saying.
It's definitely one of the pieces of art that I thought had like the most going on, where you can be like, oh, I'm getting a sort of idea of where we're going, and what the location might look like, and and stuff like that. Um, Compared to some of the other art pieces of art, including one of them that's literally just the name and that's it. So it gives you a little more in this piece of key art specifically.
All right, you want to take us to Wednesday, Jonathan?
I'll take us to Wednesday. Going back in time on Wednesday at 10:33 a.m., we had our next original house announcement: the museum Deadly Exhibit, or exhibits if you actually look at the art. I don't know which one it is,
They
to be
don't know which one
honest.
it is.
They don't. It might go on the website later. Oh, also, none of these are on the website yet. None of these have
No.
had like official press releases yet. They're all just been the social media sort of releases. So I guess Deadly Exhibit could turn into Deadly Exhibits later. Who knows? But
I mean, I'm gonna trust the key art. I hope. Like,
It's normally what's the house
yeah,
entrance. So yeah.
yeah,
like I mean, I guess they could just wipe the S off it, but
they could.
you never
I
know.
was making that post. I was like looking back 3 times, like, is it exhibit or exhibits? And I had to like look back a couple times because like the art says this, but the words say this. Um, but let's get into the description. You're going to check out the Rotting Stone, the local folklore museum's infamous new exhibit. An evil spirit escapes from within, possessing the other displays and decaying everything in its path. Get ticks now. No, I'm kidding.
No, ticks available now, but the ticks is not always capitalized. Sometimes it's not, sometimes it is.
Sometimes you got the ticks, and sometimes you got the ticks. You never know.
There's no consistency. So God forbid they actually put exhibit or exhibits. They don't know if it's ticks or ticks. So
They don't know. So, how do we feel about this, guys?
I mean, I'm very excited. It's a concept that I just love. Again, this is one that actually I don't, not again. I haven't talked about it on this episode, but like this is one I'm going to be waiting for something additional, like the podcast or
mm,
however they deliver us some additional lore this year. Hopefully they do, because there's not a lot, right? Like it gives you the very, very, very base of what's happening, and I like that. I like what it is, but I'd like to know a little bit more.
Hmm.
yeah.
But
A
I'm very
little bit more.
excited regardless. I think it's going to be right now until we learn more. It's probably my number one or two, one of those two for sure.
Ooh, okay. I agree. I mean, I need a lot more, and I feel like they can't give us six originals in May and not give us full podcast episodes for each of these, right? Like,
I would hope they do.
I feel like that's what this is leading up to, like big, like deep dives. Hopefully, even I don't know. Like last year's, we didn't get a lot of them, but the year before, like how we got the Dead Man's Parents stuff like that, Chupacabra. Like I want a 30 to 40 minute podcast scene setting with the background noise and everything. I want to know, even if it's like kind of in ears, like for the museum. You know how when you kind of go through the exhibits, that
Mhm.
would be really fucking cool.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know what it could be, but this is the one that I'm like, okay, what else is there? Like, you're not giving us anything. And like on our live, I was Googling what's in a folklore museum, and it's not what we think like Night at the Museum wise. That's like a natural history museum more like. So what I looked up, this is gonna be like how they live day to day wherever we are. So it's going to be hunting tools and cooking utensils and different things like that and clothing and artifacts. So I don't know. I'm expecting a lot of mannequins, which is going to wreck my shit all the time, 100%.
Hmm.
So I'm
Yeah.
terrified, but I'm ready.
I mean, I share similar sentiments to you guys. I don't think it's as hyped on my list, my tentative list right now, just because we don't know much. And for me, like not knowing a lot, especially to this type of story, sort of hurts my hype just a little bit. But I'm still really excited for this. I think having a Night of the Museum esque sort of, though it's a different type of museum, sort of an HHN take on the Night of the Museum is a really really fun concept and could be have so many different ways. So many different things you see, so many different things possessed, and different types of scares and effects and sets. They really can take this in any direction they want, and it could work really really well. And like you were saying, Jess, I'm really curious about if this had like like a potential podcast for this, or expanding on the story of this, because like it sounds like something interesting is going on. Like, what is going on with this rotting stone? What is this evil spirit that's inside of it? Why is it all of a sudden possessing displays and decaying everything? Like, why is it doing that? Like, is there a reason, or is it just an evil thing doing an evil thing? So it intrigues me a lot, and I'm very excited for this. And I think they can do so much with this concept. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing at this point is figuring out what those other exhibits are. Like, where are we going?
Yeah.
Again, especially
Mm-hmm.
when you're breaking down what folklore museum is, you're seeing how they lived. We're probably talking different like regions, right? Like they're
Hmm.
probably going to bounce around different regions. So where are we going to go? Who are we going to see? So that's pretty exciting to think about because we don't know any of those yet.
Yep.
Yeah. And that could be where all of those rumors from, the beginning of speculation season came from. The Greek rumor, the Egyptian rumor.
Hmm.
We've talked about Roman. There are so many different cultures. We could even go like Asian. Like their folklore could mean anything. It's just kind of how they live day to day. So this is really cool. I do want to point out, I don't know if the rotting stone is a pun on Rolling Stone, but it made me roll my eyes when I read it the first time. And it still makes me roll my eyes because I can imagine that the creative team was like, so I hate it so much, but I'm so excited for this house. I can't even hate on it that much. So
All right. Well, I'm going to take us on to Thursday, and you'll never guess what time. 10:33 a.m. We
what?
got another announcement, and it's a very familiar one because it is Monstruous, the Monsters of Latin America. The rumors are right. We're getting it. It's coming here.
Woo.
Um,
Yeah.
and we discussed this quite a bit, and we were wondering, is this going to be exactly the same? Or are we going to look at like different legends, do more legends? Well, they're going to answer your question in the description. With La Muerte as your guide, you'll be begging for piedad from these three terrifying legends: Tlahuelpuchi, La Lechuza, and El Silbón. That's it. That's all they said. Which is the same exact description they gave for Hollywood's last year.
Yep.
So yeah, I am gonna be excited because I think it's a really cool concept, and I think Orlando can knock it out of the park. But I would have liked something just a bit different. Not the exact
Mm,
same three.
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, I shared your sentiments as well. Like when we first got this announcement, like this was something Monstrous was rumored for a while. It was on the something Latin America on the spec map, and everyone was sort of like, oh, is Monstrous coming to Orlando? And the whole time when those rumors were coming out, I was kind of like, oh, it's going to be different ones, or maybe one the same and then some other different monsters. But then seeing this description and seeing it was the exact same thing as Hollywood in terms of just the description itself was very shocking to me. Probably the biggest, well, not the biggest one. I think that's the next one, but one of the biggest shocks of this this entire week for me. So yeah, I'm so excited. I think Orlando will do it a lot better than Hollywood, even though Hollywood's was really good. I loved Hollywood's, but I just think with Orlando sets and uh, you know, this is, I guess, currently rumored to be in a soundstage. So, the space they can have compared to the location, the Parisian courtyard that it was in Hollywood, that's very, very tight and not as big as other locations. I think they can improve upon some things Hollywood's uh, had trouble with, such as giving each monster enough time and differentiating them enough. The first two monsters in the house didn't have a lot of time, and I think if you expanded upon that and maybe made the rooms different and stuff, you can really help improve the house. Just things like that I think Orlando can really shine at and make this a great house. Just like you said, Duff, in hype, because it's kind of the same. I mean, the description is the same thing that we got in Hollywood and is looking like we're going that direction. It's not going to be too high for me just because I already have an idea of what it's going to be because of Hollywood.
Yeah, I can understand that. But for me, like, I loved this house last year in Hollywood. It was my number one. Chucky did not pass it, even though it was close, but it was not going to pass it. Like, this was not a perfect house for me. I think La Llorona is still probably my favorite Hollywood house I've seen so far, but I've only been 2 years, so it's not really saying much. But this is probably up there in the top just because it very much caters to what I like. I like gore, I like originals, I like stuff like this. I like the darker stuff, death, things like that. So I loved Muerte as the guide. I loved the legends that we got, but for me, the big issue is Talawapuchi and La Lechuza very much blend together, especially in the
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood house. So I can see Orlando with a bigger budget setting this not so much in a two-story mausoleum, as groundbreaking as that was, John Murdy. I don't see that. Maybe that is the facade, but for me, I see this in a like Latin American town, and the monsters are kind of invading the town and terrifying the inhabitants of that village. That's kind of what I see the Orlando take on it being, and that's someone who knows nothing, obviously, beyond speculation like everybody else. So I think that would be really exciting, kind of like a Blood Moon take on it, where you can see different parts of the village from different rooms in it, like a Dead Man's, like a Blood Moon. I think that would be a really cool take on it, and that would definitely put this in the higher end of the hype for me. And also because I loved it so much in Hollywood last year. But I really just hope that Lala Chusa and Tawalapuchi, they get their kind of time to shine here. So there's not so much gray area in the bird ladies.
Yeah, I think for me that's probably the most important part to change. If I had to change anything from Hollywood, is making sure that nothing blends. Because once it
Mhm.
starts blending between characters specifically, that's kind of a problem. So make sure it doesn't blend, and then I want Orlando to treat this as their scary house. I want it to be
Yeah.
intense, in your face, dark. Like I want this to be the scary house because all three of these creatures would fit so well in that atmosphere. Um, and if you look at what they do in their stories, it's pretty fucking terrifying.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think Orlando's gonna touch the whole eating babies thing?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
They have
Yeah, but you
to.
can get around it.
I don't I don't
You
know. You
just
think we're gonna have
you just
another
have like
hive?
baby sounds or like stuff like that, or like, oh, there are some babies scattered around occasionally, but like not they aren't clearly in harm's way or something. You know what I mean?
You think we're gonna have another hive situation where people are upset about the baby skeletons in
I mean, it's
the crib?
possible.
But like, come on, people, you're at a fucking haunt. If Knots can put a devil baby in a fucking crib, grow a backbone. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not here to not think about the aspect of anyone being fair game. Like that's just how I think at a haunt.
yeah,
That's just me though.
yeah.
Someone's gonna tell me I'm wrong, but I don't really care.
I even thought Hollywood kind of shied away from it a little bit more than I expected because of what I've seen them do in La Llorona. So
That's
Yeah,
true.
I think John Murdy even said like when he was talking about, we talked about this before, when he was talking about in the spec season, he was like, I might have made the most awful thing, like disgusting. I forgot what exact adjectives he used, but just like, awful, disgusting thing I've ever done in a Horror Nights house. And it was supposed to be that. It was supposed to be Tawala Pucci eating the baby, or like drinking the, like that sort of scene behind the scrim. But he ended up saying that did not end up being how he wanted it to be. Like that's not what he envisioned. So, so it, like, to bring back to your point, the Hollywood's take on that didn't really go very far at all. And it probably was the intention to. They just never got there.
yeah, and I do wonder if, being the large corporation they are, that higher ups would not like that very much.
It's
And that's
possible.
the issue. Like,
Yeah.
dead children, okay. Dead babies, whoa. Calm down there, John.
Then why pick the fucking monster that the whole point is that they snatch babies?
Oh, because the
Like,
higher ups don't hear about that shit till it's basically done. They don't care
I
about the
know, but
details of the original,
there's a reason we
which is
haven't
why
gotten
the Fallen
Fallen.
made it as far as it
Yeah,
did. Like,
Jinx.
people saw like the finished product of what it was going to
Yeah.
be, and then that's when they're like, "Oh, whoa, wait a minute! This is what you were doing that whole time? I don't think so."
Whoa, I know you said angels and demons, but actual fucking angels, bro? Like, I get it. Don't pick the fucking demon that eats the babies. I'm sorry. Like,
No, I'm happy he did. To be honest, that's my favorite thing about John is he's not afraid to do anything. He
no.
doesn't care. He'd probably sacrifice an actual child in the house if he had to, which
Probably.
I wouldn't want. Don't do that, John. But I like that you're willing to do that kind of shit.
Yeah, I appreciate the commitment to the bit, but maybe don't actually do it. I have a serious question for you guys though. Do you
Yes.
think that if Orlando just took El Silbon and put him in the middle of Tualapuchi and La Lechuza, would that solve the issue? Instead of
Mm,
having the two females up front.
it'd probably help a bit
Yeah, I
because they
agree.
wouldn't
It would
like.
help.
Because I think one of the big things is you like literally couldn't tell when you were transitioning from from Pucci to La Lechuza. Like you couldn't tell when that transition happened until you were looking La Lechuza in the eyes. You're like, oh, okay. Well, how
Oh.
many rooms has this been going on for?
Mhm.
And my issue is they had the posters too, but you would have already seen, like, they didn't matter. You had already seen both monsters, even when the
Hmm.
posters like introducing the next monster were there.
Yeah.
So it was just very confusing.
Speaking
So
of the posters, all those posters had, like amazing art of the characters, and on the actual key art they had, like, for Hollywoods, they had all the art of all the monsters and stuff. For our key art, it's kind of just just the logo, just the name of the house. We don't have any pictures of the monsters, which is interesting compared to Hollywoods.
Yeah, and they changed the colors, which I don't like either.
yeah.
The key art is just like actually boring. It's literally just it's just the title and nothing else. Like there's nothing else to it at all.
Yeah, just green and yellow, which I mean, to me, it maybe hints at a, like a Brazil setting because that's like very much the Brazilian flag, minus the blue. But like, I don't know. That's really all I can get, and that's a reach.
They've
If we
all
were trying to
traveled to
dig into it,
Brazil.
oh my god, they've met in one central place, the rainforest, which would go off of the spec map,
Yeah,
kind
Yeah,
of.
that
that's
is
true.
what it was implying.
Maybe it's a village in the rainforest in
Mm,
Brazil.
in the Amazon. Here we go.
In the Amazon, and then we get we get 3 out of 3 correct. We win. Pat ourselves on the back.
Now, this is important though. I think this is probably the most important question
Oh
involving this
no, I know
house.
what you're about to ask me.
Are we gonna see Elsa Bone's giant sack in this house?
I
If we
mean,
don't, I'm turning around and walking out.
how do you get around it?
Backwards. I'm going backwards.
Well, you have to have his giant sack. You have to.
You have to. What's the point of the house if you don't have his giant sack? I
What
mean,
is
that
El
that's
Silbon without his giant sack?
it's
Let's be
true.
real.
Just a guy. Just a regular
Just a
guy.
guy. I do hope that we get the Orlando spine rip and not the Hollywood version we saw last year with him,
Definitely
because that
agree.
is how he kills people. So
Definitely agree.
I really hope we get the better version because Hollywood's is kind of. Meh.
Yeah, I don't love their spine rip. It looks too cheap,
I
fake.
don't even think it's a character. I just think it's a mannequin too.
Yeah, yeah. They don't. It's
Ugh.
full mannequin. I mean, yeah.
Boo. Lazy. Murdy, I'm talking to you. Fix it.
All right.
And
Well, Jonathan, would you like to take us on to the final day of our lovely, lovely week we've had?
yeah, Friday, that was when I was referring to uh what was it? Monstros being the the second biggest shock. This was the first. Because I think this was, I mean, Horton Ebers confirmed that this was the unknown original on the spec map. No one really knew what this was going to be. All the insiders, like the day before, were like fighting on what it was and going, every single person was like, I don't know what it is, and going back and forth. But then we finally got the announcement, and Friday at 10:33, we got our final original announcement: Triplets of Terror. And before we get into anything about this house, let's just dive into the description real quick. You're invited to the Barmy Triplets' birthday bash, but beware, they celebrate by recreating their family's murders. Prepare for a gory gathering. All right, I know we have some thoughts on this house, so who wants to go first?
Not me.
That key art though.
Yeah.
I I mean, even since the live, I've looked at it more, and I even catch more things that are like just off. Like, so my big thing originally was just that it just wasn't very pleasing. Like as key art, like I don't know, it felt very unbalanced, and I don't. The focus was kind of on the characters, but then there were these balloons that looked really weird all over the place. Now I've looked at it more, and like it looks like terrible Photoshop too, because like the wigs look like they're literally just clipped from something else and dropped on their heads.
Mm-hmm.
Things like don't fit them right. That random little arm popping out holding the heart, the arm above from the character on top too, also just feels like it's not actually attached to that person. It's just kind of sticking out of nowhere. Um, the font is so uninspired. The most basic looking like just name font I've that like they've done. Period. Like you can't get less basic, really. So now that I got that part out of the way, the concept is kind of cool. I'm kind of into the concept. It's very like Bloody Birthday. I've seen a lot of like House with a Thousand Corpses, even Texas Chainsaw Massacre, kind of that like murderous family vibe thing going on. Um, so I'm really curious to see like what kind of locations we're going to visit. I think it could be really fun. And there have been a lot of rumors that this is going to be a very scenic house. Like this is going to be this year's Blood Moon or Dead Man's Pier on level of scale and scenes. So
Mhm.
uh, I think there is a lot of hope for it. But when I look at the key art, that
And
hope
the name.
dwindles just a little bit. So last year, I talk about this all the time. Just last year, I put Blood Moon as my number 9 most hyped house. It finished number 2 overall. Like, just because I don't know a lot about it doesn't mean it's going to be a bad house. It could be a phenomenal house. But my hype lists are going to be based off what I can see. Fun concept. Key art takes me out of it, though. So, like, this is probably the bottom of my original hype list at the moment, I'd say.
Mhm.
Yeah. I I agree. I'm cautiously, I don't even want to say optimistic or pessimistic right now about this house. I am cautiously awaiting this house at HHN33. The key art is trash. I will agree with you on that. I don't really know what to expect. It and people are saying it looks like two female and one male character. I don't really know what the bunny's really given us. I know that girl in the front with the heart and the knife is everything to me right now. Big fan of her. She's giving me Aries energy, so I will always always appreciate my Aries energy. But other than that, I'm excited because I will always love a slasher at the event, and especially kind of an original take on that because we don't always get that. We tend to kind of get that in the IP realm. So an original kind of giving me slasher is fun. So this is definitely going to be towards the bottom. I think Goblin is still below it in my hype list so far. But I'm probably going to ride Goblin until I actually go through it at the bottom because it's giving me Dead Man's Peer right now. Like I'm not going to like it until I see it. So this
Yeah.
one will definitely be 4 or 5 so far for me until we get more. But I'm hoping a podcast, an actual teaser video or something will bring this one up. But god damn, that key art's bad.
I agree that I think for most of these, like just one podcast, just diving deeper into what the houses are going to be could change, our current tentative hype list like tremendously just with
Mm-hmm.
like the more information given, on potential podcasts. I think those would help all of these. Um but yeah, I kind of agree with both of you. I think the concept is very interesting, it definitely is giving Texas Chainsaw, Devil's Rejects, that those types of movies, and I tend to like those houses. I love corpses. I love Texas Chainsaw, so I tend to love this sort of genre at Horror Nights. I don't know why. I just ended up really liking it. Um, but it's just like we don't know enough right now because like even the description has a couple like has some words. It says recreating their family's murders. Is it like recreating the way their family got murdered or recreating like famous murders their family did? Like even that
Mm-hmm.
can sort of be interpreted like two different ways. So it's kind of hard to really get a good idea of where we're going with this one. And I mean, last but not least, everyone has talked about it. I don't want to harp on too much, but when the only things you have currently, we don't have a press release, we don't have anything on the website, we have just this little blurb and the art. When these are your two things that you have, and the art is that unpleasant to look at, it's gonna hurt it in hype. It's just we only have this much information, and half of the information we have isn't the best. So currently, this is probably my least hyped for now. But I mean, that could absolutely change. Like depending on getting more information and and going through it. I do think it will change because I think this concept could be very fun and surprising once we actually experience it. This is purely just hype.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think this could definitely also be the gore house of the year. Just based on the key art, if that's all we're going off of, it's bloody.
Oh
So
yeah,
that excites me. If it's like a slasher gore house, like a true blood house again. We've had a couple, but like I want some like gross shit. That will definitely help.
Yeah, hopefully it does deliver there. I really hope so.
God, me too.
Well, that does wrap up those five. However, there was a sixth, which we've discussed before. But Jess, do you want to take us back a week and go over something that I know we're all excited about?
Yeah, I mean, like, just something not that important was announced at Spooky Empire. Well, over a week at this point, but a week from our last announcement. Slaughter Cinema 2 was announced, and we got to see a sneak peek at a character from Heavy Metal in Hell 3D, one of the movies featured in the new house. And we got some info. There's spaghetti westerns, grindhouse films, all that. How are we feeling now in comparison to the other 5 we have announced? Where's Slaughter kind of falling? What are we thinking about that announcement compared to these?
Well, at the time, it was obviously number one, and it's still either one or two. So it's doing pretty well compared to the others.
I completely agree with you. But I think I'm like like completely putting it at one right now. Like it's not even a competition with the others, and I think the others like are really cool. It's not saying that the others I'm not excited for at all. I think almost this whole lineup I'm really excited for, and I think it's going to be a strong lineup overall. But Slaughter Cinema 2 is just something, it's my favorite original house. It's one of the first houses I've ever experienced in 28 from my first year, and I just have like such a connection to it that it's, unless there's an like a IP that comes out of nowhere that blows me away or something, which even that would be hard to do with this house. I think Slaughter Cinema 2 is just firmly gonna be at one like this entire hype list. I'm really excited for it.
Very fair. I think the only thing keeping it down is the sequel aspect. I've talked about it,
Mhm.
how I think it still lends itself well to to be a sequel and succeed as a sequel. But when I'm looking at an original concept I haven't experienced before that really excites me versus a sequel of a phenomenal all-timer house, I'm probably going to lean towards the one that's a newer experience and just be more
Mhm.
hopeful about the sequel while very, very excited still.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because, like, especially for us three, we've seen two of these ideas before,
Mm-hmm.
like very recently. So Slaughter Cinema and Monstruous. So I don't know. I'm gonna be excited for Slaughter Cinema until well, even through the end of the event. This is in my top 5 of all time, the original. So cautiously optimistic. I don't think they can fail. I've talked about this before. I think that this format lends itself really well to kind of any amount of sequels that they decide to do in the future. Like I think we'll see like a Slaughter Cinema 5 eventually, but I think it's something that'll come around every like 5-10 years and be just some goofy, silly things, and we're gonna eat it up with a fucking spoon. So I do have a question though for you guys.
Hmm.
We don't have to do our whole hype list, but
Hmm.
could you guys give your like your top and bottom right now based on the 6 we have?
Mm, no, not fully. As I was saying, my one and two are really, really close, and I don't know which way I'm gonna go yet. I was making a case for why it would be the museum, but I don't know if that's what I'm gonna choose. So my bottom is right now triplets.
Mhm.
My one is open. You already know the two, so we'll find out. And well, it's still like 2 months away till we do that episode, probably. But uh, well, you'll find out in the future because I still have to find out. To be completely honest.
That's
Well,
fair.
I just said my one, Slaughter Cinema 2, and my bottom is the same as Duff's, and that is Triplets of Terror.
Okay. I'm not surprised. I will say the only thing keeping triplets out of 6 for me is the fact that it is giving me very much Wyatt family vibes. And that is like a wrestling reference for Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. And like, I know I talked about how we're not going to get that house anytime soon, but this like weird kind of culty backwoods family is very much giving that. And that makes me excited because we haven't had that in original form in a very long time, or even really, I don't think I can name a time. So I want to say Goblin is my 6 for sure. And I know that's going to piss some people off, but I'm really not a Goblin person. Like, it's probably going to be like a Dead Man's Pier for me, but right now it's going to be at 6. And my number one is going to be Slaughter. I can't even lie. The
Oh,
museum's right there.
I
Right
completely
there.
understand goblins. Like it's not my dead last, but it's being kept up by the key art giving it amazing looking vibes and that the
Yeah.
tavern aspect. Really, that's what's keeping it up for me right now because again, I'm also someone who like that fantasy realm doesn't click for me fully.
Hmm.
But we'll see. Again, they've had success personally with fantasy in HHN before, so they could do it again. I don't know, but I'm not naturally just gonna be like, oh fuck yeah, goblins.
Yeah.
I just liked that the HHN Twitter account posted that they're going Goblin mode. I thought that was very funny.
All the goblin jokes. Goblin blank. Goblin blank.
Oh, they're gonna be
Goblin.
made throughout this entire. That's the one con about announcing these originals early, especially goblins. The whole season, people are gonna be making those goblin jokes.
Oh,
Oh,
all season.
I'm making goblin bracelets to trade already. Like I will say it's helping all the bracelet people because we have months now to prepare with house names.
That is
It's
true. That
true.
is true. And I do be goblin feasts. I'll tell you that.
Oof.
Before we fully moved on from this, I want to go back to Solaris Cinema 2 real quick. So it's something I wanted to ask last week, kind of like an official capacity, because I want to keep track of this. Even though Mike's not here, I'll ask him off Mike and figure out what his answer is. Um, but if you could pick one sequel, not that you want, but that you think will come back from the first one, which one would you feel confident making a return? Sequel, prequel, in the family of films of one of the original Slaughter Cinema films.
Hmm.
I want to see if any of us can get it right, if they even end up having them. I assume they will. They have to.
Ooh. Um, I'm gonna say one, and I'm honest. I think I'm actually going for prequel. like I'm going straight for prequel because I think it's the fun. I guess they could do sequel too, but regardless, I think Midnight Snack will
Oh,
come back. I want that. Like it's purely because I think it will because I think they might have that like stuff in the back, like maybe those sort of animatronics puppet type things that they can bring back easily. And also selfishly, I just kind of want it. So yeah, I'm going with Midnight Snack.
all right. I'm writing these down too. Where you're keeping track. Someone's gonna win, maybe.
Hmm. I think Midnight Snack is the easy choice because it's already a sequel from The Last House. Like it was already Midnight Snack 2
Hmm.
Housewarming. So I think a prequel. Jonathan, I think you took the easy route. That's what I'm saying. I'm calling you out.
Wow. I'm in it
I,
to win.
I don't think it counts. P wins, it's a half a point.
What? That's not how this works.
The thing is, I know a lot of people want to say Cult of the Beast Baby, but I don't think that's the right choice.
I was actually thinking the same thing. Like, oh, I want to say it, but I'm
But I
not
don't think
going
it's
to.
right. Yeah, I don't think that's the right one. I also want to say Shitty's Kids, but I don't think that's the right one because
Oh,
then people are going to say Five Nights at Freddy's is supposed to be at the See? Confirmed. Uh, I'm sorry if that's you, if I just mocked whoever you are out there in listening world, but like, come on, y'all. um, oh, God. This is hard. I'm gonna say I don't know. I don't know.
uh,
Jesus Christ stuff. I don't know.
all right. I'll pick one then. I
Okay.
think it's gonna be because it's also been used as a reference a lot, sort of like Cult of the Beast Baby. Uh, Amazon Cannibals from Planet Hell.
That's fair.
I'd love to see that one back.
I
That
think
is
it's kind of
totally
the one
fair.
they've pimped out the most a little bit. So
Mhm.
I could see them going back to that well.
I really want to say double dogs, but I don't know if that's right.
Mm,
It also feels like something that could have like a double dogs 2, 3, 4, 5.
yeah, I could see Devil Dogs working potentially.
Okay, I'll pick double dogs just because I love me a biker boy.
Devil Dogs.
Double dog. Also, that sound bite specifically, double dogs, is
So
so
stuck
iconic.
in my head. So
Yeah.
stuck in my head. Oh my god.
If we don't have those in this house, I'm again turning right around and walking out the entrance.
All right, so I have to get Mike's, but I got Jonathan with Midnight Snack. I got Amazon Cannibals from Planet Hell, and Jess has Devil Dogs. So we'll see if any of us get that right. The winner gets.
Bragging rights on 365 for
Uh,
1 second.
I was gonna say like a treat on the company card.
Ooh,
Hey,
Yeah,
I'll take
one
that.
one
one
pickleback.
one single no treat like a
Oh,
$6 less treat. We
not
broke.
not
We
a
broke.
pickleback. That's fair. Fine. Zombie brains if they ever come back.
No, yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right, cool. That's pretty much it for the 6 originals that we have received, and the only originals that we will receive for Orlando, because that's it. Um, that's a pretty solid original lineup, I think. What do you guys feel?
Oh yeah, I'm not mad at all. Even my bottom one, I'm like, hey, we got originals first. I don't give a fuck now. I'm vibing.
That's
I
fair.
mean, yeah. Like the only con of announcing all the originals first is that I think the originals are what I'm gonna be the most hyped for this year. If the IP rumors are what they are and they end up being what they are, so it's just like, yeah, the originals, so excited, and then I'm just gonna be like, all right, gotta wait for the IPs. Here they come. Oh, great! The Ghostbusters. Wow, like
Oh wow, who would have thought? Yay!
but in all seriousness, I think this lineup is really good. There are some, like I said, I have some, just questions about and things that I'm a little worried about. But at the end of the day, we have 6 originals, and we don't. It's not like we have 5 originals plus a hell block. It's like, no, we have legit 6 originals that had time to be designed and are complete, and that is very exciting for this year. I'm really happy about that.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm very excited. Obviously, the way we got the announcement, and I mean, not the way necessarily, but just having them in general, I'm like, wow, I know them all already. This is great. Like, for sure. No speculation, no rumor. This is done. I know them. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I look at these individually and I'm like, this is a very decent looking original lineup. It doesn't immediately stand out as, oh, this is going to be the best one ever. But I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I think even the ones that I'm lower on, they all are like so. I don't like, not don't like them. That's going too far. But like I'm not as hyped for them because I just don't know enough. Or in one case, like just the key art's not great, and that's bringing me down. So like I could see those like definitely going way up. So it looks like a very strong original lineup for sure, and I hope that's what we get.
Yeah. All right. Is that everything on our 6 originals?
That's all I got.
Yeah.
Same. I can't believe we have all this shit already, and now we gotta figure out what to talk about for the next 2 months.
Hey, we should if they just announce each IP over every other week, then that'll bring us up till like 2 weeks from the event. So
Oh, easy. We'll
yeah,
do hype lists and then let's fucking go. All right. It's not that bad. We're less than 100 days because I know trivia with Fear and Beer was 100 days to
yeah.
HHN.
I
So,
think the day we drop this, it'll be 95 days till HHN.
wow. That doesn't feel
That's
real.
crazy.
I know. Every time we get under 100, that's where it's like, whoa, holy shit.
Wow. I can tell it's like leading up because I can't stand being outside anymore. The heat is just unbearable. I can tell we're rearing up for HHN season.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can feel it.
Oh, it's
Funnily
bad.
enough, last year we were under 100 days, and the only thing we had announced was Chucky, which had been announced like 200 days before that moment. So, yeah.
And
You
now we
know,
have.
a museum, like
Mhm.
got a slaughter, we got a goblin, that's just half of them. Like, goddamn, I can't
6
believe this.
houses already announced.
We have more than
Oh,
half the
Hollywood.
event. And Hollywood's got nothing, not
Nothing.
They got
even dates.
absolutely
Not
nothing.
dates, not tickets, nothing.
And we're not mocking you,
No, I
Hollywood
want you to drop tickets
listeners.
too. I got an RIP to buy.
Yeah, we want to fucking
Mhm.
go.
We got to make sure we get the right day, the right time.
Yeah, we want them to announce it too. We're over here like, come on.
Mm.
Ho- Hopefully, whenever the first IP gets announced, which I guess we're all assuming is going to be Ghostbusters, right?
Um,
Or no?
I don't know if I expect that. I will say I expect it to be like within 2 weeks is my
Yeah,
expectation.
Yeah.
that I agree with. Okay, so I'm gonna go with it's either Ghostbusters or Monsters, something shared, obviously.
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
so.
We'll see. I'm sorry for the person I become if it's actually female monsters. I'm sorry for everybody who listens and you guys on the show. All right, shall we get into voicemails? We have 2 from the same listener.
Let's do it.
Hey y'all, hope y'all having a super duper day. Well shit, we got a lot to cover this week. Oh my god, they straight hitting us with house announcements. Man, wait, huh. Slaughter Cinema 2 sounds dope as fuck. See, I missed the first one, so I'm super excited for this. My little thought is they dropped that shirt and my thing is I think those are all little hints for the houses. You know what I mean? I think we're going to get a Japanese house. I think we're going to get a vampire house. We're going to get a ribcage house held by a safety pin. I don't know about that one, but I don't know. I feel like that's like a hint to what's coming because of the skull and all that shit. Just my thought. Goblin Feast. I want to move fast with this. Goblin Feast. That sounds cool as shit. Goblins, orcs, and hobgoblins. I mean, can't go wrong. I mean, that kind of sounds like it's got a wicked growth field. I wasn't able to do that either, but everybody I've talked to says that house was amazing. So super stoked for that. All right, now we're off the Major Sweets Candy Factory. You know what I said last week? I mean, but it actually could be dope if we go into the factory. I don't know about the kids part. I mean, kids and candy already, that sounds like a horror fest as it is. But, you know what I mean? So, fuck it, let's do it. It's gonna be cool. And then now we just got the museum today, and that sounds fun as fuck. I don't know if they did some shit like Night at the Museum. I don't know. But listen, first of all, I was reading the thing, and they named it Rotting Stone. The museum's name is Rotting Stone. Like, it's a horrible name for a museum. She was definitely about to go wrong. You know? And so yeah, and that was crazy, y'all, how we got hit with all those houses. Like, I was just like, holy shit, every day. So how many lives y'all plan on doing? You just gonna do one big one, or are we gonna chop it up and hit one every day? But yeah, man. And then the fact that old Spooky Dookie under the arches is Otis, I love that shit. Jess, you need to calm down about this weekend shit, all right? Like, it might happen. I don't care, all right?
And I don't
Alicia
care
Stella
either.
is right, okay? She's not joking, guys. She's being for real. And guess what? We're gonna get some weekend shit. And so yeah, sit down. And remember, like y'all said, man, this shit is all supposed to be fun. I'm having a great time. You guys gotta have a great time with this shit, man. If the weekend don't come, I don't care. You know, like, it's love. Let's all love each other, y'all. And cause I love y'all like I love.
Oh, and part 2. Wait, hold up.
Hey y'all, I ain't sure if you got.
Oh,
Hey
on.
y'all, I ain't sure if you got my first message because that shit cut me off. I think I went a little long. But my last thought is I just wanted to say, given that it's leap year, I don't know if anybody talked about it, but y'all should really do something with the name this year only and be HHN33. I'm just saying, I'm giving y'all that. I think it would be dope as shit. Yeah, love y'all like I love y'all.
Well, see, the way we get around that is we just take a day off.
Oh, yeah.
We just take
It's
a
a
full
rest
day
day.
off where we don't think about HHN for a single moment. It's crazy, but we do.
Impossible. No, that's physically impossible for all of us specifically. Okay. Can I dive into this weekend thing first? I'm sorry. I got to get this out. I love Alicia Stella. That's my girl. I believe everything she says. So if she says a weekend zone is coming, a weekend zone is coming. But that does not mean I have to be happy about it. I respect her. I respect that she says it's coming. I believe her. But I don't have to be happy, especially because I know it's going to be in New York if there is a zone, and my ass is going to have to listen to it in the smoking section every night. So I'm going to bitch preemptively. But I'm excited for anyone that is excited for it if we do actually get it, because that's going to be a whole ass vibe. And I will be dancing in the streets with my Blinky Cup at least once, depending on how drunk I am. So
Once per night.
yeah, no, I mean, come on. Y'all saw me in the house. I was vibing in the house.
Oh, yeah.
I would complain, but I'm going to vibe. Trust me, especially because rumor on the street is he does not have the WrestleMania theme next year. So maybe it's my time.
That's true. Well, now we need you to call in about 2 more houses that you were missing out on. So thank you
Yeah.
for calling, but we need another one. Just a little follow up
We need a third
for
voicemail.
science.
I mean, the vibes are always right.
Did we get that rib cage hanging from a clip house? Is that triplets?
Oh no! Ew. I need to understand how these are triplets. First of all,
Yes, they look very related.
Yeah,
The one guy with just the paper plate over his face.
and the big head.
He's so big.
He's so big, and the other 2 are so little. I don't understand.
Is this forced perspective or like what's happening here?
Why do they all have gray hair? Are they old?
I get they must be.
The one in the front is giving child.
Or is it just all in like grayscale?
I don't know, because
Because
apparently
like, they
that
also are like not anything but like grayscale colors.
I don't know, because there have been a bunch of people specifically I know on TikTok that were confused because we had that black and white rumor and black and white spec on the spec map, and Jonathan, that insiders are saying that was not for this house. That's for Goblin, right? Somehow, some way. So I know that a lot of people were saying, "How is this with triplets?" Apparently, it never was. So who fucking knows,
Or
y'all?
is it?
Dun,
Bum,
dun,
bum,
dun. What if Goblins is full black and white?
With that colorful key art, you walk in and it's just black.
Just no color.
From the facade. It's just like this black and white blob. You're like, oh, okay.
It's void of all color.
Welcome to Goblins Feast Tavern.
There goes my wicked growth vibes.
Yeah, they just, I don't know.
Hey, well, we got them all. All originals, all six. Done, dusted. So we probably have at least a week off now, I'd assume. It's also a holiday week. They don't announce shit in holiday weeks. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we get a break, if you will. I'm actually kind of ready. I never thought I'd say that, but I'm kind of ready for a break. I can take a week off an announcement. That's fine. I'm good.
Please. I can't make another fucking TikTok. I had to make 5 in a fucking row, y'all. I'm tired.
So, yeah, but regardless, we will be back next week talking about probably these houses again in some way or another, because what else are we going to talk about? So if you look forward to
That's a
us
good
talking
question.
about these houses again, please join next
Oh
week.
no.
But until then, go follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at HHN365, our TikTok at HHN365pod. If you want some different discussion, come to our Discord. That server link is in the description. We chat everything HHN, and we'll be probably chatting a lot about what to expect moving forward through the announcement season. Check out our merch at hhn365.com. And if you also want to leave us a voicemail to be played on the show, that is 407-906-4134. And that is all for today. Until next week, we will see you in the streets.